With the fight between Sukuna and Gojo wrapping up, we now see that Sukuna may lose this fight. We don't know exactly what he could do to actually win, but I did want to speculate on my two different possibilities for how this fight can actually go moving forwards. Before I hop into my speculations on how the fight could actually go or what Sukuna might actually do in the end, I did want to say don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy anything you see here today, as I make a lot of different videos very similar to this one. Thank you. So with the ending of chapter 235, we do see that Sukuna is in a horrible spot. He is probably in the most vulnerable position that he has ever been inside of his entire lifetime in the story that we've seen, and most likely in the story, before the introduction of Jujutsu Kaisen itself. So this is the first time he's really been put in a position where he's kind of at the mercy of the person that he's fighting, and he doesn't really have many options. So with that being said, what exactly can he do right now against Gojo with no real cursed energy to use, no curses out, no Shikigami, no Mahoraga, no way to kind of get past Gojo's defenses, and really at his mercy? What could Sukuna possibly do? I personally think that one of the possibilities as for what could happen to Sukuna right now is Kenjaku just absorbs him outright and uses Sukuna for, whatever he's going to be planning for the future in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. This is most likely the easiest pick and the one that makes the most sense in the story. It makes sense that Kenjaku would kind of come out of nowhere and kind of clean up, take Sukuna for himself, and use his techniques or whatever Sukuna was kind of hiding for his own will, since we know Kenjaku obviously wants to enact that whole plan where he gathers the cursed energy and kind of creates a sort of kaiju monster that he just wants to really see what it could do. So he's just kind of playing the field. He just wants to mess around, it seems, in this world, and the best person to kind of help him do that would be to absorb Sukuna, since if he does that, he'd honestly be almost unstoppable, and maybe through absorbing him he would actually get the 10 shadows technique also. We just don't really know exactly how that works right now, but in a way, if he does absorb Sukuna, maybe he would inherit that ability too, and it'd be like a 2-for-1. Now he has the 10 shadows and Sukuna's techniques. The only reason why I don't put this past him doing it is because of the fact that he did the exact same thing with Mahito. It was literally the exact same way. Mahito got defeated by everybody and he kind of sat in the background and let everybody do his dirty work, and then at the end all he had to do was just come in, absorb Mahito, and kind of leave. So I feel like something very similar might actually happen with Sukuna in the story, and this would actually be very bad for the members of Jutsu High, having to deal with somebody that now has Sukuna's powers and potentially Megumi's powers, and this would also mean that they still don't have Megumi, that they still haven't retrieved him. So this is just not good at all. This is the last thing I feel like they want to happen, and this would spell a lot of doom for everybody at Jujutsu High. We don't know what exactly Kenjaku would use Sukuna for, but no matter what he uses him for, it would not be good for the Jujutsu High crew. It wouldn't be good for the world itself, and he would definitely do something very sinister and diabolical with him. So we don't want this possibility to happen, and this would honestly be one of the worst things that could happen in this situation. Kenjaku getting his hands on Sukuna's abilities, his body, or just himself, Sukuna himself. Another possibility I see for Sukuna to escape is actually for Uraume to actually come in and maybe bail him out in some way. It would make a lot of sense since we don't know exactly what happened to them. It does seem like they're still around. They aren't really down for the count, so they would possibly be able to kind of swoop in, get Sukuna, and leave. And after this, I don't know what this would entail. This would also mean that Sukuna is kind of free in the world, so I don't know exactly what he would do. Maybe he would regroup, get back his power, try to challenge Gojo again, but I don't know if that'd be a good idea. And of course, this does kind of make another problem of where we still don't have Megumi. So no matter what, if Sukuna gets absorbed or if Uraume actually bails him out, we still just don't have Megumi back with the main crew. So I don't know if this would be what happens, but it would make a lot of sense if they just bailed them out, since this is a very devoted person to Sukuna. They would definitely put their life on the line against somebody like Gojo to try to save Sukuna, and if they succeed, Sukuna's just kind of out there. He's out there to do whatever he wants to. Maybe he would challenge Gojo again after, regrouping and getting back his power. Maybe he would kind of just leave Gojo alone and just kind of exist, and maybe duck Gojo for as long as he possibly can while doing whatever else he wanted to, but we just don't really know at this point. But this would be another way for Sukuna to kind of get away from the main crew and actually, regroup and do whatever else that he wanted to do in the world. But obviously, whether or not he wants to fight Gojo again, or if he just wants to kind of leave Gojo alone, would be up to him. Another way I feel this fight could go, and would actually make a lot of sense, is we finally get the reveal of what exactly Sukuna's powers are. And hear me out. So there has been a running theory in the community about Sukuna's black box, or the tattoos that he kind of has on his body, and one of the times he did say open with it. So a lot of people have speculated that he does have the ability to maybe store techniques in a certain way. Some people speculate it's from eating people, some people speculate he might actually have another way of doing it, but it seems like he is able to store techniques and use them whenever he wants to, kind of. So we don't know if that's actually his innate technique, or if this is a sort of kind of sub technique that he has due to something else. We just don't know a lot about Sukuna, but I feel like this kind of storyline or this thing wouldn't really be just closed right now with Sukuna passing away at Gojo's hands. I feel like Gege is actually going to introduce that fact to us and kind of further elaborate as to what Sukuna's main ability is, or maybe he has a sort of, you know, actual ability and the cleave and slash aren't even his at all, and he's just kind of using those, and he has a way more powerful, way more dominant ability, and, you know, we just don't know exactly what that is until it gets revealed in the story. And of course, this always gets brought up in the community, but it really does make the most sense that he has a sort of innate technique or some technique to kind of store abilities, as we even saw during the fight with Jogo. He kind of randomly pulls out a fire technique, and this didn't really seem like it was his actual technique since he had just used cleave and dismantle. So how come he was able to just pull out some sort of random fire technique against Jogo, and now we see that he hasn't really used it against the fight with Gojo, so it kind of seems like he's able to pick and choose abilities that he wants to use based off of his situation, and this could potentially be because of the fact that he has a bunch of different abilities stored up inside of him. Now, what this really means for the story of Jujutsu Kaisen kind of going forward is that Sukuna maybe didn't use all of the abilities he could have used against Gojo, and maybe he was forcefully kind of using 10 shadows specifically against him because that would be what kind of works against him, but there could actually be some other abilities that he's able to use right now in the story that he didn't use during the fight with Gojo, and he could actually pull them out right now at the end to kind of throw everybody off, since it could be the fact that he's conditioned Gojo into thinking, well, he only has cleave and dismantle and the 10 shadows techniques to really kind of take me down. So it could be that he's conditioning him to kind of be like, okay, you know, I really have nothing to worry about now that I've dismantled his entire arsenal. I've taken down Mahoraga, I've taken down the other curse, you know, he's kind of done all of this, and maybe at the end Sukuna could pull out a different ability and use this to catch Gojo off guard. It would make a lot of sense. He is a kind of trickster demon inside of his lore, so it makes sense that he would do this to kind of condition Gojo into thinking, hey, I kind of have this fight in the bag, you know, I don't really have anything to worry about, and then at the end he pulls out a random technique that nobody knew he had, and he uses this to take down Gojo. My reasoning as for why I feel like this is the most plausible thing to happen is just it would make a lot of sense, and it wouldn't really make sense for Gege to just take out Sukuna right now in the story without really further elaborating as to why he has all of these different abilities. You know, we've kind of had explanations as for what everybody else has been doing in the story, or why they're doing this, why they're kind of so strong, their motivations, but we would just get Sukuna cut off from the story without ever realizing what his abilities are, or why he was able to pull out that fire ability, why he's able to kind of do the things that he's able to do, and what exactly his motivations are right now in the story. We do know Sukuna is kind of a sort of calamity, as he says, but we do want to know exactly what he wants, you know, in the end, and what his motivations are, and having him get taken out this early on or this fast would kind of nullify any of that, and it would cause us to not know what his abilities are, what his ambitions are, what he kind of wants to do moving forward. So I feel like it is just very plausible that he is going to pull out a true ability, and he's going to use this to maybe either take down Gojo, suppress Gojo, or use it to escape. But one way or another, I do feel like he's going to kind of get away from the situation in a way. He's either going to get absorbed by Kenjaku, or more likely I feel like he's going to use a different ability to actually escape Gojo or actually fight Gojo, but we will have to wait for the next chapter in order to see what happens. But we do have another week for that to come, so we have another week to speculate. With that being said though, let me know if you guys agreed with anything I said in this video down in the comment section down below. Also, like the video if you liked it, and subscribe, as I make a lot of different videos very similar to this one, and I would really appreciate it if you guys stopped by and saw a lot of the other ones. With that being said though, thank you for watching, and I'm out. Peace.